Hello, and welcome to our series on the history of artificial intelligence. In this series, we are going to explore the past, the present, and we are going to bring some discussion about the future of artificial intelligence. I'm going to start this discussion with a brief context of the moment that we live in our lives, focusing on the technological developments throughout history, mainly from the 1940s, 50s until now. I'm going to present a brief concept of what is artificial intelligence, and it follows with the presentation of the history of artificial intelligence. The presentation ends with a discussion of what's the role that the governments have been playing around artificial intelligence, its development, regulation, and many policies related with AI and data science. Welcome to our exploration, and let's jump in our discussion. In this series, we are going to present a brief history of artificial intelligence, talking about the past. Here for us, the past of AI is the period up to the year 2000, and the present is from 2000 to 2024, and the future is what comes after that. Before I start discussing with you the history of artificial intelligence and data science, I want to make a disclaimer. And it's very important to acknowledge that this perspective is an overview that I made based on my own knowledge, my study, and my experience in these fields, and also based on some milestones that I consider relevant to bring to you for the exposition that is going to be made. And I am sure that some of you may have different perspectives. Some of you may find other milestones maybe more important or more interesting than the ones that I am presenting here. But this is just one perspective. And the idea is to bring this knowledge to you so that we can encourage and promote further discussion and further explorations in the field. Having said that, I'm going to divide this presentation into 5 main parts. First, we'll discuss what's the context in terms of technology of the world that we live in now. And then I'm going to bring a concept of what's artificial intelligence. I know that this is a very slippery terminology and people have different understandings of artificial intelligence. And I will try and synthesize to you my own perspective of what is AI. Then, in the second part, I am going to present the history of artificial intelligence divided into 3 main parts. The first part, which is the past, goes from its early days, before the 50s, until the turning of the millennium. The second part is from the year 2000 until the year 2024. And the third and last part of the history is what comes after that. And to bring that discussion to us, I am going to use content from different consultancies, and some of them are very large consultancies that we have around the world. The fourth part of our discussion is related to the role of the government, the importance of the government to establish national AI policies, and also the importance of the government to discuss and implement regulations and bills related with artificial intelligence and data science. When we talk about the context of the world in which we live in now, we can see a number of features that are quite remarkable. For example, nowadays we have a need to have fast responses to our needs and demands. We really want that services are available every day at any time, including the weekends, late at night, during holidays. We are much more impatient than we used to be. And all this requires a lot of automation in systems and processes, mainly for enterprises that want to be competitive and that want to provide high quality services to their customers. Nowadays, mainly if we go to the digital environment, we can see that most digital environments are personalized in the sense that the experience that you have within the environment is tailored to yourself. And for me, the best example of that is YouTube. If I do a search in YouTube for any subject at all, and you do the same search in YouTube, you're probably going to get a result that is significantly different from mine. And the question that we could ask is, why is that? Why do we search the same thing and get different answers? And the reason is because YouTube is monitoring everything you see, all your navigation, everything you watch, all your clicks, virtually everything you do online, including when you're talking to someone and you're not using your mobile. This is being monitored. And this monitoring is used to personalize your experience in the sense that you're going to receive advertisements related to what you were discussing. You're going to receive other videos, promotions, and different types of contents related to your interests. And this is the very concept of the personalization of the digital environment. And to be honest, I remember when I noted that the first time I was talking to my wife about something that I didn't do any search on the web, I didn't watch any video about it, but suddenly I started receiving promotions, advertisements, and content related to what I was discussing with her. At that time, I realized that I was being monitored even when I was not using my mobile or any type of digital device. And this relates to what I'm calling here as the new perspective of privacy. We live in a world where we are all the time being monitored. Everything we do in the digital and in the physical environment is being watched by someone, and it's going to be used somehow. Another example I can give is my son. He took his driver permit a few months ago. One day I received a letter in my mail from my insurance company saying that they found out that my son was driving my car and that I should include him in my policy. Okay, I know you're going to say, well, they simply crossed the data from tax collector with the insurance company. The crossing of this data made that the insurance company wrote me asking me to include him in my policy. But anyway, what I mean here is that we are being monitored and all our data from all perspectives is being collected, and this data is being used somehow to make decisions and to drive our life in greater or lesser extent. And with that, I'm also covering this last very important issue here, which is the fact that data is currently a strategic asset. And this means that data is used by companies and by ourselves to drive our decisions and to facilitate our decision-making processes. So this is a little bit about what we could say the future, but it's actually the present of the world in which we live. And the last thing I want to discuss with you in this first part of this series on the history of artificial intelligence is the very concept of AI. We can find many concepts of AI in the literature and on the web, and actually the perspective of what is artificial intelligence may change from one research school to another or between the academy and the industry. But for me, we can try and understand artificial intelligence as all those technology that instead of being programmed to solve a problem, they are programmed to learn how to solve a problem. And to learn how to solve a problem, they can use basically two different types of input. One input is data from past experiences, from past events, and this data is input into the machine, and the machine uses this data to learn how to respond to future similar situations to that. Right? So artificial intelligence involves an adaptive process, a learning process. And another way that we can understand the input to artificial intelligence is by interacting with the environment. So an AI solution involves interacting with the environment, and based on the result of this interaction, it changes its behavior so that it has a more suitable behavior in the future. Now, to illustrate that, we can take the case, for example, of parking a car. Let's assume that we want to design a robot, an autonomous robot that has to park a car. We take that robot, we give it some basic instructions on how to park the car, and based on the result, you can either reinforce or penalize the behavior of this autonomous robot based on its performance. So the interaction of the robot with the environment makes that it learns and or adapts to behave better in the future. These are the two main ways in which an artificial intelligence solution differentiates from the standard software. If we take a software, for example, to control goods in a mart, you simply program the software to remove one good from the mart if it is sold, or to include this good in the mart if it was bought and placed there in the mart. Right? So this is a very deterministic behavior in which you're simply telling the machine what it should do in each case. When we are developing an AI solution, you don't tell the machine what to do in each case. You simply tell the machine how to learn. So artificial intelligence solutions involve learning either from data or from interacting with the environment. And of course, this involves some uncertainty, and this involves adaptability. And adaptability is a word that can have different meanings. And in our context here, adaptability means either learn from some experience or evolve based on some interaction with the environment. This is the basic introduction that I want to give you to this series on the history of artificial intelligence. And now let's move to the first part of the history of artificial intelligence.